Welcome to the Great White Brotherhood YouTube channel.
Hello, everyone. I'm back with a new video. Well, first of all, I'll just address a couple of changes that you're seeing right now is I am using a different platform to record these videos. It's just Zoom, so nothing fancy, although seems to be a little bit better than the other platform I was using, which is something in Microsoft. I can't remember what it's called. And secondly, I've just darkened the screen just so that there's a lot less reflectivity on my glasses and all that kind of stuff, and a little, maybe easier to read for a lot of people or to watch the video. So that's a couple of changes. The other thing is that this allows me to not worry, I think, about how long the videos are. I don't have to keep, make sure it's under a certain amount of time. So I can make longer videos if necessary, which is nice. So, um, I'm gonna make a few videos, not sure how many, not sure when, based on kind of like research or perhaps trends that I've noticed when I'm reviewing the information from the Great White Brotherhood or from Bob. And I'll make these videos based on what I see in the information. And I've titled this one Trapped in a Prison Planet. Now, based on the research that I've done, there is some, I want to, I'm not going to say the word truth to it, but there is something to that. And you'll see here as we go through the information why I'm saying that. But um, there's a lot of people, many people saying that this is a prison planet, the Earth is a prison planet, we're trapped here, don't go into the light, and when you leave, you just get zapped and mind wiped and returned back to the Earth, and it's just never-ending loop of reincarnation, as it's called. I don't believe that to be true. Um, you can leave here if you wish. Here's the problem. Who knows how to leave here? Have we been taught how to leave here? Are we are we educated on how to leave here? Are we trained on how to leave here? No, of course not. So from that perspective, yeah, I go along with that we're trapped here on Earth. But it's really not true. We can leave if we learn how, um, or we're trained how, and we do the proper steps on how to learn to do that. And I'm not talking about astral projection. Astral projection, in my opinion, is mis mislabeled because in most cases, in probably all cases, 99% of the cases, people don't go into the astral. They go into the etheric, which is very close to our body and the Earth's body. So you're just into a place that is very close to you and it's not the astral. So it should be called etheric projection, in my opinion. But when you do prayer as taught by the Great White Brotherhood, and that is in meaning not begging God or anyone for anything. You thank God, you thank the angels and the guides and everything for what you receive. Okay. And it's probably best not to be specific because in all likelihood, you don't know what it is that you need. So just thank God, angels, guides, whomever, for what you receive, because what you will receive is what you need. Okay? You don't know what it is that you need, but you will receive what you need, and it'll take you through the sequence of events that'll lead to eventually lead to where your life is better. Okay? So proper prayer, I know it's a religious term, but being thankful, grateful, thanking. Then meditation, and the best one for everybody to start off with and go for a long time is the Buddha meditation, where you just do your best to be quiet, silent, in silence, quiet the mind, quiet the body, quiet the thoughts, quiet the images, just try and be present in silence. And then help others when you can. It doesn't mean you have to run out into the streets and try and help people. Just when you need to help somebody, it will happen. You'll be presented with an opportunity to help somebody. And if you are presented with that opportunity, you should try and help. I know it's not always easy, it doesn't seem comfortable sometimes. I know that from my own experience. But when you are presented with an opportunity to help somebody, you should help. Okay? So what this message today is based on a series of messages or lessons that I have found, may even come from some of the books. But you'll see that there's kind of a theme here. And each section you can see by the dotted line, they're just snapshots taken. I've only taken the relevant information as far as this particular message is concerned. So, as I said, trapped in a prison planet. Are we? Are we trapped in a prison planet? Well, let's see. Let's go through this information. And all this is based on Bob's information in the Great White Brotherhood. None of it's mine. I'm just doing the research and reporting back here. So, this was from a lesson where somebody was talking to Bob about going to heaven or what heaven is. So, part of Bob's response was, there is no doubt in my mind that when I am taken to heaven, I actually go somewhere. I move. Now, I also understand that heaven is a vast and complicated area and is very probably connected to the astral areas surrounding various planets, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, etc. So that's interesting. When I have visited some of the various places or levels of heaven, I am not aware that I might be in the astral realms of these planets, but I have been informed that it is so. That's a very important statement. Excuse me. When I have visited some of the various places or levels of heaven, I am not aware that I might be in the astral realms of these planets, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Earth, but I have been informed that it is so. Therefore, for example, if I visit one of the loving areas, I might well be in the astral regions of Venus. Each planet has a number of auras, just as we have, and so we can move to higher planes or to lower planes. So, in the case of Venus, what I experience might be more love or less love, depending on where I go. As you said, in the lower the dimensions, auras closer to Venus, far now. This is assuming that what Bob's saying is correct, that if we go to a loving area of the astral, we're in the Venus area. I don't know if the Grey White Brotherhood have ever really stated that. I think there's something somewhere in a book that says maybe, maybe not. But anyway, regardless, it doesn't matter. Um, but he's saying, like, as you go up into the outer auras or dimensions, the feelings, the emotions will be purer and higher versus closer to the planet. That's what we're talking about here. The same would apply to the more doleful areas, meaning hell. All right. So you can see from that what I'm looking at here is that what he's saying is that when he travels in the astral, he's talking about going to areas surrounding planets. Okay. Next section. This was taken from the lesson on auras. And I'll be honest with you, I have read these lessons countless times. And for whatever reason, as I guess the pigeonhole concept comes into mind, it didn't dawn on me until I started going through these things and suddenly realized something. So auras. The auras also called dimensions, or also referred to as dimensions. The auras, and this is the important part, are versions of you, since we're multi-dimensional beings. The auras are versions of you standing on planets, in galaxies, in universes, all repeated 7 times. 8 if you count us being here on Earth. This is a dimension. So you have the whole universe repeated another 7 times. Each universe on an even higher vibration to this one. So as the dimensions go out from us, right? So the etheric, if you know how, and you have the trained vision, you'll see that very close to the body is kind of like a whiteness or a mist, a grayish white mist. That's the etheric, very close to the body, right? And then as you go out from there, you go into the other dimensions, great, bigger and bigger and bigger and higher, so on. Um, so you have the whole universe repeated another 7 times. Each universe on an ever higher vibration to this one. That is why you can't see them with the naked eye. We can see what's on Earth because our eyesight is in alignment, in vibration and frequency to this dimension. That's why we see things here. We can't see things that are outside of our frequency. Each version of you is, however, connected via the etheric double and the chakras to you, this 3D body. Okay. So the way in and out of our dimension here, or our body, quote unquote, the body, which is just an aura that we're focused on. If you want in and out of this aura, this dimension, this body, it's through the chakras, the different chakras. You can look them up, right? You got from the bottom, the root chakra, up to the crown chakra, the head chakra, top of the head chakra, whatever you want to call it. All right. So here's from another message. The physical body that we incarnate in when we come here is made so that we can relate to the physical earth. Then, in the astral realms, we have a number of astral bodies. So this is building on what was previously said. We've got multiple bodies. We're multidimensional. That we know of as auras, which are nevertheless, and this is, again, actual bodies standing on actual astral planets. They have been around us from before birth. Another important thing, before we incarnated. So all we must do is transfer our attention into one of these astral bodies through the chakras, and we find ourselves standing on an astral planet. And this is where it comes into this whole prison planet thing, which are the astral versions of planet Earth, and can then relate to what is going on in that particular density. So if you ever wanted to say, see, there's the point. We're on prison planet. We can never escape. It's not true. Okay. Yes. In most cases, when you go out of body, if you focus your attention somewhere, you're probably still bound within the earth. But if you can get outside of the etheric, outside of your etheric double, if you can get outside of the etheric realm, then you can get into astral realms, which are certainly can be nicer than here. Can also be much worse, but can be nicer than here. And if you train hard enough, meditate, pray every day, do all the things that the Great White Brotherhood say about helping others, raising your frequency. Because again, if you notice, it talks about the etheric double very close to us. It's obviously not a much different vibration than here, and on and on and on, getting farther and farther away. If you raise your vibration, not of this body's here. It's not going anywhere. It's here. When you go out of body, this body stays here, right? We all know that. So what is it? What are you raising in vibration? Your soul. And I know for all the people with great brothers say the soul's not it, it's the spirit. Yeah, this so but spirit is contained within the soul. So soul is a word that a lot of people know. But you're raising the frequency and the vibration of the real you. And that's how you're able to remove your focus from this body and move it into another one. But if you haven't really done the work to raise your frequency and your vibration, you can't go into the highest levels. It's impossible. You're going to go into the next one if you're able to. If you're even able to get out of your body. Most people can't, right? Because they haven't put in the work. You're just going to go into the next. If you possibly raised your frequency a little bit, well, the next frequency to us is the etheric. And, you know, that's where you would be. Some parts are okay and some parts are not okay. So that's why way back when Bob warned everybody not to do astral projection because most people don't have the ability and haven't trained and raised their frequency enough to get outside, excuse me, outside of something like the etheric, which can be dangerous, or even the lower astrals, which are equally as dangerous, if not worse. So, here we go. Is the Earth a prison planet? Well, I think in some cases the answer could be yes, because most people haven't got the level of frequency to get outside of the uh, um, Earth. So in most cases, it's not a prison planet. It's us that puts the limitation on each other, on ourselves. And if you're going to get outside of the Earth, you're going to have to do a lot of work. But there's nothing wrong with even just going into the nicer versions of Earth, right? What's wrong with that? And that very may well be where Summerland is, right? Just a very beautiful, higher version of Earth. Let's go on here, okay? So you can see where I'm going with this. This etheric body, aura, field, call it what you will, is connected to the etheric body of the planet. So that's why I said when you leave the next like you're going, unless you're able to jump over all these levels, which a guide would probably help you with that at first, which you might come back and say, I had this amazing experience. I went to this place, was beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Probably wasn't you that did it. Guide probably helped you get there. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So this etheric body, aura, field, call it what you will, is connected to the etheric body of the planet, meaning Earth, just as your physical body is connected to the physical body of the planet Earth, right? Now, although this etheric body looks like a gray mist, it is nevertheless a real body. In the etheric body of the planet Earth, which also looks like a gray mist, are a number of beings and thought forms. Many of them are negative in nature. That's why Bob says do not do astral projection on your own, untrained. Yes, you can do training, which is taught by YouTube, but that doesn't teach you to get above the etheric layer or even the lower astral layer. People who do astral projection generally go there, which is why they get attacked by negative spirits. Doesn't always happen, but it can, that live in this realm. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a drink. Now, the etheric body is not a true aura. It is a sort of a transformer to reduce the power of the auras. I'm not going to get into all that right now. Then, outside of the etheric body, we have 7 auras. The 8th being our body, the planet Earth, this dimension we're in. Each one of these is a real body, but of a different vibrational frequency to your physical body. So, as your physical body is also vibration, in all, not counting your etheric body, you have 8 bodies. Each one of these bodies, auras, is standing on a planet Earth of the same vibration as that aura. Okay? So when you try to leave your body, if you're successful to get at least outside of the etheric, you're still within the Earth. Okay? And I think this is all part of what's called ascension, is that we're learning to raise our frequency and our consciousness to higher levels of the earth dimension, like the bodies around the earth that we associate ourselves with, because we're not from here. Regardless, even if you never raised your frequency high enough to get outside of the earth, you're from outside of the earth. It's just that the experience you're having is that you're focusing on this earth and its auras around it. You are not this earth. You are not the dimensions around the earth. You are something completely different. But because this is part of the journey we're on, we're learning to transfer our consciousness up through the layers of the earth's, around these dimensions and work our way out of it. That's what we're doing. So each one of these bodies that you focus on, auras, dimensions, is standing on a planet Earth of the same vibration as that aura. Just as your physical body is standing on the physical body of planet Earth, or this version of Earth, this dimension of Earth, so your total body consists of 8 repetitions of your physical body standing on 8 repetitions of the planet Earth. We ignore the etheric as it is not that as that is not a real aura. Now, these different bodies that we call auras or dimensions are actually connected to your physical body via the etheric body. They are connected through what we call chakras, which are doorways into the physical body. They are connected at various points of the body that you can check on Google, as I already talked about, the base of the spine, the root chakra, the stomach, sacred, heart, and so on. So the auras pass through the etheric body, which reduces their power. Because if you had the full-blown power of a dimension, it would fry you. And then they enter the physical body at these various points, which we call chakra points. These auras, although they are bodies, okay, sorry, these auras, although they are bodies standing on a version of planet Earth that correspond to that aura, they carry a lot of emotion in them. These emotions vary from base ego to pure love. The planets on which the auras of your body are standing concentrate these different emotions. So you have a physical body, an etheric body, and 7 auras, which are pouring energy into you that passes through the etheric body and into you via these chakra points. This energy varies from ego-based energy, the base energy that they talked about, to pure love, depending on which aura is influencing you the most. Now, I won't say much more for the moment, as I have given you a base to start with. The subject of auras is complicated and difficult to comprehend, but what is called a soul means your spirit of God. That is different from your auras, what I mentioned already, right? That is different from your auras and is contained in your higher self. It is quite distinct from auras. So that is why I state that Earth is not a prison planet. We're not recycled souls trapped in all this nonsense. You are not from here. You're just focusing on here in some way. I don't even want to get into that right now. Not that I necessarily know, I just don't want to get down that rabbit hole of how are we here? How does this all work? I mean, I will be coming up with a lesson talking about, simulation, illusion, all that stuff. But that's a very important point. You are not these dimensions, right? You are not these auras. A soul is the spirit of God, which is what you are. That is different from your auras. It's different from the dimensions. Next one. We are actually infinite consciousness and live in the heavenly spheres, which are still part of but we're infinite consciousness, which is not dimensions, right? We come to Earth for a physical experience. However, although we have a physical body standing on the physical body of planet Earth, we also have a number of auras. The planet Earth also has the same auras. Each one of these auras is a body, quote unquote, standing on the astral body of Earth. That's why we're connected so strongly to the Earth. Our incarnation means, and our journey means that we are associated with the Earth for much of our journey. But that's part of the journey, is to work our way out of this. So we're not trapped here. We just have to learn how to get out. So certainly part of the trap is ignorance. Part of the trap is withheld knowledge. That's the trap. Not that the planet is a trap. The planet is not a trap. We're trapped here by the fact that we haven't been properly educated. So each one of these auras is a body standing on the astral body of Earth. They are invisible to our earthly eyes, but are very real. You can see them. You can go there. I've been there. I know that what's being said here is true. You, in fact, have a number of bodies standing on the same corresponding bodies of planet Earth. So, if you can transfer your attention into one of your auric bodies, you will find yourself standing on the corresponding auric body of Earth. It will seem real to you because it is real. It is just separated from the physical Earth because it is a different vibration, different dimension. So, it has nothing to do with emotions or any other emotional feelings. It is a solid fact. You, when you know how, can, quite simply, transfer your attention into one of your auras and you experience life in that dimension. But it is real and will be solid to your astral eyes. In order to explore this 3D world, you need to have your body, meaning an incarnation that we're all having. You need to have your body developed so that you can walk about. A baby can't do this. In order to experience life in the auras, we need to fill our auric bodies or our dimensions or our other auric or the other us in other dimensions. If we're not focusing on it, it's not getting any attention, it's not getting any energy, any focus, anything, right? So in order to experience life in the auras, we need to fill our auric bodies with power so that we can transfer our attention into them and walk about on the auric versions of Earth. And how do we do that? There is only one way to do this, and that is meditation. That's why the Great White Brotherhood have said over and over ad nauseum prayer, meditation, service to God, which means helping others and helping yourself. Through meditation, we fill our auras, dimensions, right? Think about this. It's mind bending, right? Through meditation, we fill our auras with spiritual power. And then we can transfer, right? And then we can transfer our attention into them and experience life at that level. Heaven is a real place. It is not just some sort of emotional thought idea. It is a real, solid area, as real as our 3D world. So note here that I don't think they're going to say it's a different place. It's still around the earth. It's still part of the dimensions leading out from this point. So is Earth a prison planet? No. But We're learning through ascension to raise our awareness, our consciousness, our frequency, our vibration, whatever you want to call it, to get into the higher levels surrounding the earth so that it seems heavenly to us eventually. And as you'll also notice, it's still all an illusion because it's not the real us. But it's an experience we're having, and there's nothing wrong with that. We should be enjoying this experience, learning from it. But that's sort of what ascension is called. We're ascending out through these layers till we eventually get out. There's a long ways away for all of us. The people who say otherwise, that heaven is not a real place or it's just an emotional thought idea, the people who say otherwise are those who have not done the work to fill their auras with power. So they can't transfer their attention into heaven. Equally, the etheric and lower fourth dimensions are real, actual places. It is relatively easy to fill our auras to the point where we can go into these areas, but they are very dangerous because they're not very high levels. And if you don't do the work or you have negative thoughts, bad intentions, then you can easily get yourself into those bad spots. It's easier to do that than the opposite, right? So I hope you're finding this interesting. I find it just absolutely mind-blowingly fascinating. There is one more thing that I must mention in connection to all this, and that is that in close association with your physical body, 3D body as it's called, you have a kind of mist surrounding you called your etheric double. I won't go into its function at the moment, but I will say that when a person dies, this mist sometimes hangs about for a while, and we see it as a ghost. Very interesting, right? That is all a ghost is. This etheric double wandering about. It is not alive, but can have the appearance of being alive for a while. Eventually it disappears. But here's the important part. It is standing on the etheric double of planet Earth, which is, in turn, connected to the etheric double of our galaxy. It's just so interesting when you really start to realize what's being talked about here. Just it took me a long time. Maybe I'm slow. Maybe I'm a little bit slower than most, but that's okay. We're all on our individual journeys. But I find this so fascinating. Empty planets. One thing that I will mention is that the various planets in our solar system, Earth, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, and so on, are physical representations of each person's actual chakra points and also our galaxy chakra points. Like, just think about this. We are all one. Just think when you look out, well, I mean, it's hard to see these planets, but when you think about them, or if you see them on, if somebody has a strong enough telescope, you see these planets, they're just illusionary manifestations of our chakra points. That's how gigantic of a spiritual entity you are. This is all you. It's all us. Me, you, everybody. Now, the various planets, Earth, Mars, Saturn, etc., are more than just planets. Each one is designed to represent a particular force or emotion. Venus is the planet that embodies the concept of love. Mars is the planet that embodies the concept of hatred and war. Not on the physical surface, you understand, but in each planet's astral realm surrounding the planet. Further, as the planets and us are actually the same thing, each one of these 7 planets, isn't that interesting? 7 planets, 7 chakras, 7 dimensions, 7 auras. See how it all connects? Further, as the planets and us are actually the same thing, each one of these 7 planets acts as a chakra point, allowing those forces, love, hate, etc., to flow into and out of our bodies. Each planet corresponds to a chakra point of every human. Because I don't know why the thought just came in my head. Elon Musk is so adamant about going to Mars. Why would, think about that from this context? If this is, if the real relationship of Mars and war and hate is true, um, why would you want to go to Mars? Each planet corresponds to a chakra point of every human. Mind blowing. And yet, as we go into the astral realms, our mind tries desperately to make sense of what we are seeing. Feeling would be a better term to use. So I cannot be sure that what I observe is actually what is there, or whether it is just my mind and emotions trying to make sense of it. That is why I have deliberately avoided describing any particular scene, meaning when Bob's gone out somewhere, he doesn't come back and say what he's seen because it could be colored by his own imagination, for example. This is also why, in my travels around the astral realms, I rarely see people or cities, with the exception of heaven, of course. The astral realms are full of emotion, not people. That is not to say there are no people in the astral realms. Most, if not all, of our alien visitors come from the astral realms, but they would come from different aspects of the astral from what have talked about above. So isn't that interesting? The all is one concept right there. We're all connected. The planets are our chakras. All right. I hope you're finding this interesting. I find this just absolutely fascinating. Not knowing the answer to your question, I asked a guide. This is Bob, of course. Here is his answer. The various auras that all life has are indeed stationed on various astral planets of the same vibration as the aura concerned. However, we have one consciousness that we all share, we all use, I guess we could say. This consciousness can split itself into many parts and activate the astral bodies in these different dimensions. However, this implies that the person has developed the ability to split and activate all these parts of his consciousness. This is not easy to do as it requires a great deal of spiritual development to be in more than one place at a time. So to answer your question, whatever the question was, we do have 8 bodies in 8 dimensions, but here's the important part, okay? We do have 8 bodies in 8 dimensions, this being one of them. This is one of the 8 dimensions, right? Right here where we are, where we're focused, watching this video, me saying this stuff out on the screen. But for most people, 7 of them would not be in would sorry, 7 of them would be inactive. Okay? Not doing anything. They're just there, of course. They're all there, lacking the consciousness that would animate them. Meaning, for most people, I'm not saying anybody watching this video, I can't say. I don't even know about myself, to be honest with you. You're focused here, and all of our focus is probably here, meaning that any of our any other parts of us, quote unquote us, is not active. It's there, but it's not being utilized. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be animated, because if you do the prayer and the meditation and you help others and raise your consciousness and frequency, filling those other dimensions, other auras of you, the other auras surrounding you, if you fill them with some of this spiritual power that was mentioned, it can help give you information. Okay. That's just as important. You may not you may not be able to or even need to go out of body and visit these other dimensions. If you can receive the information from those other auras whilst being firmly planted on your feet firmly planted on the earth, that's good enough and more than enough because it's going to make you a more awake person here, understand more of what's going on here, be a better person. So Even so, to activate two bodies at a time requires much spiritual development. To activate all eight at once would be virtually impossible. All right, and that's the end of the information that I gathered. So it may have seemed all over the place, but in truth, it's all connected. As the Great White Brotherhood always say, everything's connected. You can't really talk about one thing without talking about another. Because so we started off with if you go out of body or you change your focus, your attention to some other place, you're moving it to another location, quote unquote, even though time and space don't exist. But this again, we don't want to get bogged down. You move your attention to another location, another dimension, another aura, but in all likelihood, unless you're really advanced, in all likelihood, you're just moving your attention to another location surrounding the Earth. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get freaked out or concerned. Okay? There's nothing wrong with moving to a higher consciousness surrounding the Earth. Like I said, that's probably where Summerland is. It's probably even where hell is. It's still around here. But so what? If you can move your consciousness or even develop to the point where you're receiving information from those higher levels, you're doing a good thing. So, based on all this information here, the reality is that no, the Earth is not a prison planet, but what we are doing as part of our growth or development is that we incarnate here. You don't have to incarnate, but even if you didn't incarnate here, you would probably still, I shouldn't say this because I don't know about it. In some cases, if you don't incarnate, you may even go to one of the other planets like Venus, Saturn, Jupiter. That might be where you go when you don't incarnate. But if you incarnate, part of the whole agreement, process, procedure, however you want to look at it, is that your path is that you're going to come here and then you're going to evolve out of here. Fortunately for us, a natural part of is death from the earth, from this version of earth, so that we can move on to better parts of the earth, hopefully. So when you go out of body, when you focus your attention through meditation, in all likelihood, unless you've really developed yourself spiritually advanced, you're still going to be around the earth. But, you know, what's wrong with going to more beautiful versions of the earth that probably wouldn't even, won't really even look like the earth? Can you go outside of the earth? Yes, of course. So the earth is not a prison planet. Okay, so this was a lot of information, a lot of great information in my opinion. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below or contact me through the website, and I'll be more than happy to discuss with you. The next video that I do, I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be on. I've got a few lined up that I'd like to do. There's some based on some things that were requested, some things on some of the research that I've been doing. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.
Thank you for watching this video. Please visit our website at thegreatwhitebrotherhood.org for free books and lessons to help you on your spiritual journey.